starts right now.
Making headlines right now. San Antonio police continue to look for a suspect in a shooting that happened on the city's southeast side.
Two major green lights given by the FDA in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. I'm Alex Brachet in Washington. I'll have details coming up.
65 degrees at 4:30 this morning. Justin is in for Mike. What will our Thursday and weekend forecast look like? He will explain in just a bit.
And Sarah's in for Steph, who was at last night's Spurs game. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, and that would be October 21st. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm so happy you're wearing your Spurs tie because the Spurs actually won last night.
They did. Brand new Spurs tie.
But you have to like show it.
I have to. Oh, show it.
Yeah, show it.
So you got the vintage stripe going, the
there
Fiesta colors.
I love that.
Yes, thank you very much. Debuting today. Of course, it does help that they won last night.
What if you still wore it if they didn't win?
I would have waited till they got their first win, probably.
Smart move.
Yeah, just thinking out loud. Justin is here for Mike right over there. Hi, Justin.
How you doing? Glad they won. And they didn't just win, they won.
They won
by a lot of points.
Yeah, it was a pretty big shellacking.
Good look. We'll have some highlights later.
We will.
Okay, the highlights of our weather forecast are going to be some rain chances next week. Nothing really to talk about right now other than a little bit of patchy fog this morning. We do have some fog showing up east of San Antonio. Not much here around Bexar County, though, so I think we're going to have a pretty easy commute when it comes to the weather. Now, I can't guarantee that things will be quiet on the roadways, but as far as weather goes, we're not expecting a whole lot. Visibility is down to a quarter of a mile at Kennedy, down to about a mile Beeville this morning. And temperatures are in the 60s for the most part, 66 in Wilde, 65 at the airport, 57 Bernie Stage, 59 right now in Kerrville, so a little bit cooler up there. Headlines, we'll see some afternoon sun today. Those morning clouds will eventually shift out or scatter out by the afternoon, and we'll see some warm conditions. The weekend looks warm and humid. There could be a couple stray showers, but your weekend all in all looks pretty good. It's next week where we start to get some of those rain chances back in place, and a front moves through. Looks like midweek that may cool us down a little bit by late next week. Forecast for today, up around 84 for a high. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. We'll call it partly cloudy a little bit later this afternoon. We'll dive into that 7-day forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Guys?
Thank you, Justin. This morning, the search is on for a woman who police say shot a man last night. The shooting happened near the intersection of Roland and Pecan Valley. That's on the city's southeast side. The investigation then led to a nearby home. Officers say a 47-year-old man was shot in the right shoulder and taken to the hospital. Investigators believe the woman and man may have been dating.
In China overnight, at least 3 people were killed, more than 30 injured in a gas explosion at a restaurant in the northeastern city of Shenyang. Footage shows damaged vehicles and shattered exteriors of mixed-use residential and commercial buildings. Take a look at this video. People living in the area have been evacuated, and teams are working to remove debris from the scene. Local authorities say the explosion took place around 8:20 this morning, their time, and they're still trying to figure out exactly what happened.
In Washington, the full House will vote today in a contempt of Congress resolution for former President Trump ally Steve Bannon. The resolution is for defying a subpoena from the House committee investigating the January 6th Capitol breach. During a closed-door conference meeting Wednesday morning, GOP leaders recommended Republicans vote no on the criminal contempt referral for Bannon. That's according to a source from inside the room, but Democrats don't need any Republican votes to refer a criminal contempt charge to the Justice Department. The DOJ will ultimately decide whether to bring charges that could result in jail time or fines.
Federal investigators interviewing people who were on that jet that ran off a runway west of Houston during takeoff and burst into flames. The National Transportation Safety Board says investigators expect to spend 1 to 2 weeks gathering evidence. Investigators say they'll look at the engines, maintenance records, performance of the pilots, and any other issues. The passengers were headed to Boston for that game, one of the games between the Astros and the Red Sox.
The FDA is now authorizing Moderna and Johnson & Johnson boosters for certain populations.
ABC's Alex Brachet has the latest from Washington.
This morning, major green lights. The FDA officially authorizing COVID boosters for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. The Moderna booster for the same population as Pfizer after 6 months for people 65 and older and those at high risk due to health or where they work. J&J boosters after 2 months for anyone over 18. The other news, the FDA also allowing Americans to mix and match any of the 3 vaccines as a booster.
And this is important because it's going to provide additional protection to a large portion of this population and also provides really some flexibility to people.
The CDC advisory panel now meets today. They typically sign off rather quickly. Still, the news is reassuring for 57-year-old Rose Tamburino. Concerned about the durability of her J&J shot and frustrated the FDA hadn't acted, she went out and got a Pfizer dose.
I felt better doing it than not, though, because I just want to be protected.
The White House also rolling out its plan to get Pfizer vaccines to 28 million children ages 5 to 11, starting in early November.
We need everyone on board for the work ahead of us, because every parent should have the information and tools that they need to help keep their kids safe.
Once regulators sign off, more than 15 million doses will ship out to doctors' offices, pharmacies, community and school clinics. And overnight, vaccine mandates now causing 2 airline unions to issue warnings to pilots. The unions representing pilots at both Southwest and American Airlines sending a letter to their pilots warning not to get distracted by vaccine mandate talk in the cockpit. The warning comes after an uptick in self-reports of distracted pilots to the FAA. Airlines are subject to that vaccine mandate for federal contractors that President Biden signed in September. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
436, about 65 degrees.
Still ahead, how a local woman is using a new opportunity to grow her business in a tough economic environment.
And the San Antonio Spurs wrapping up opening night at the AT&T Center in style against the Magic. We have some highlights of a win coming up next.
Will we have rain in our future? Justin says maybe, maybe not. It's 65 degrees at 4:36. Justin will have the full forecast when we come back.
Good morning, welcome back. Here we go, Spurs fans. Youngest Spurs team Coach Pop has ever coached, taking on the Orlando Magic on opening night last night. The team has loosening things up on the court after years of structure, and it resulted in another successful opener. Devin Vassell scored 19. Lonnie Walker added 17. That helped San Antonio dominate Orlando. The final 123-97. San Antonio is 23-2 in season openers under Pop. The Spurs finished with 32 assists, had 7 players score in double figures. Every Spurs starter scored in double figures, with Derek White contributing 16, Jakob Poeltl adding 12 with 13 rebounds. San Antonio scored 21% of their points off fast breaks, outscoring Orlando 26-6. Spurs also forced 16 turnovers while only giving up 8. And fun fact, Spurs rookie guard Josh Primo played the final 5 minutes of the game, making him the youngest player who attended college to play in the NBA. Primo, who turns 19 on Christmas Eve, received a thunderous ovation when he entered the game. Meanwhile, Devin Vassell was happy to give fans a win.
That's the energy that we want to play with. That's the team camaraderie we want to play with. I think they said 7 people scored in double figures, and I think that's the type of team that we have. Any given night, anybody can be our leading scorer, but it's not about that. It's about playing with energy, and that's contagious. Once we got out in the second half and started getting steals and turnovers, I think the whole momentum of the game changed, and we really just started feeding off that.
Next up, Spurs travel to Denver tomorrow night to take on the Nuggets. That game is set for 8 o'clock. After a come-from-behind win in Boston, the Astros continued their success in Game 5 of the ALCS late yesterday. Big home run over the Green Monster gave Houston an early 1-0 lead. The score would stay that way all the way till the Stros busted the game wide open in the 6th. This time, Houston gets a 2-run RBI double, and it's 3-0 Houston. Astros win again 9-1. This is a travel day. They're back in Houston tomorrow night and now 1 win away from a trip to the World Series. Over in the NLCS, Braves got a 9-2 victory over the Dodgers last night, now have a commanding 3-1 lead in the National League Championship Series. Game 5 is tonight at Dodger Stadium. The Braves themselves 1 win away from their first pennant in 22 years.
There's a lot of happy South Texan sports fans with the Spurs winning, the Astros winning last night.
I took a quick break last night, took Truman for a walk, and I saw Astros games on in that house, that house, that house, that house.
Yes.
Everywhere. A lot of folks are watching around here in San Antonio.
All right, 441 and 65 degrees.
Still ahead, how a local beauty business is using creative marketing and passion to get past a tough economic situation.
And next, a first look at a one-on-one with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden and her agenda to make sure every woman knows the importance of breast cancer screening. Well, Robin Roberts talks with Dr. Jill Biden about the First Lady's work to educate people about breast cancer. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, Robin Roberts one-on-one with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. At the top of her agenda, making sure every woman prioritizes breast cancer screening.
Cancer advocacy. Can you be specific in what you're hoping to do in the new year?
I go back to being an educator, and I need to use this platform, and I need to educate people that things like getting their screenings and talking to them about good practices, just like actually most American families who have dealt with someone in their family with cancer. I know what it's like to sit in that chemotherapy room with your loved one and just holding his or her hand and just helping them to get through it.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have much more of Robin Roberts' interview, plus a roundtable conversation discussing breast cancer research and advocacy work. With your GMA First Look, I'm Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
We'll talk about a challenge trying to grow a new lipstick business when people are wearing masks or staying home.
It's a speed bump one local woman ran into. 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz talks to the woman behind the business who's hoping a new opportunity will get the kiss of success.
It's hard to imagine Darinette Curtis grew up a tomboy.
And then something clicked to just be a girly girl.
Now this grown-up girly girl has a beauty business named for what her daddy called her, Love Muffin, and inspired by her mom and the lipstick she wore for 25 years.
It's Cherry Jubilee. I can't remember. I think it's Avon. It might be Avon. Yes, but it's Cherry Jubilee.
Now this is Curtis's Pucker Up palette and portfolio, a line of liquid lip colors like Lollipop and Licorice, Honey Bun and Sip of Bordeaux.
I have a weakness for sweets, that's why.
She got her start 6 years ago using online tutorials to mix pigments. She came up with a vegan matte lip color that's smudge-proof. Now she sells online to her customers.
So that could be someone who's on the go. That could be someone who just wants to look nice running to the store. It could be somebody who wants to slay the day away and into the night.
Curtis is slaying it despite challenges like funding, but she's passionate about a business she sees as more than cosmetic.
You could change someone's day just because you feel just a little bit prettier walking out the door.
She hopes to expand her line, find space on retail shelves, and be a brand on everybody's lips, including her mom's. This shade's for her, Cherry Granita.
I really just want to walk down the street and know that someone's wearing my lipstick. They don't have to know who I am, but the fact that they love my lipstick is enough for me.
Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Well, the humidity has made a full return. Are we going to be like this for the rest of the week, Justin?
Short answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you different. I think we'll lose some of the humidity next week maybe, but there's really nothing to get
That was the
about.
short answer. Is there a taller answer?
Not really. Yeah, not really. It's a really basic forecast this week. We're going to get the morning clouds, some fog, some humidity, and in the afternoon, some partly cloudy skies and some warm temperatures. 65 right now at the airport, 65 Kelly, 63 at Randolph. It's not a bad morning. It's not overly warm with just some light winds right now. Visibility, not a problem here around San Antonio, so it's not going to be an issue. And I don't know that we'll see a lot of fog here in town, but if you're south and east of San Antonio, there is that chance. About a quarter of a mile visibility down around Kennedy. Victoria seeing some fog, also Beeville dealing with some fog this morning. Temperature-wise, 59 in Kerrville, 64 in Hondo, 65 in Gonzales. Some 70s as you get down closer to the Rio Grande. 70 right now in Carrizo Springs. Probably a little bit more cloud cover down there, keeping temperatures up. There's a look at the dew points. It's really pretty humid here around South Texas. Now, the humidity drops off as you get into North Texas, and there is a frontal boundary there. And it would be great if this front would slide south and push right through San Antonio. Not going to happen. This thing's going to stall out north of us, and we don't get any benefit from it at all. Not even rain, I don't think. There could be a few showers on the front north of us today, but I don't think we see anything from it. Temperature-wise, we should be up around 84 degrees by the afternoon, partly cloudy skies. We'll lose some of those morning clouds probably mid-morning to noontime, and then we'll see plenty of sun this afternoon. Let's talk tropics real quick, and I know it's kind of late in the year to be talking tropics. We're not looking at the Atlantic, we're looking at the Pacific. And if you remember last week, we had that hurricane out in the Pacific, and it brought us moisture and some really good heavy rain. Well, we're kind of playing into that scenario again. Not exactly the same, but we are going to watch what's going on out here because this system is likely to develop here along the west coast of Mexico. There's a 90% chance it would become Rick. Some models do want to bring some of this moisture into Texas out ahead of our next storm system, but I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as the last go-round where we got some really, really heavy rain. This could play a part, and I call it sort of the wild card here, that it may bring a little bit more moisture for us, but nothing like last week, I don't think. It's something that we'll watch going into next week. And here's how it plays out. That frontal boundary today shifts north as a warm front. It doesn't affect us, as I said. Saturday looks good, maybe a shower, but I think most of us stay dry. That'll be the case Sunday, too. And then as we fast forward here to Tuesday, 5 o'clock, notice we're starting to see some showers. That would be some of that moisture coming out from the Pacific and then our approaching front. We'll see how it times out. The window, I think, for rain, because this storm system is going to be moving pretty fast, is going to be mainly Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and early Wednesday morning. Front slides through, and then behind it, we'll get some breezy conditions and some clearing conditions Wednesday of next week. So that's our chance for rain there. Right now, we only have it at about a 30% chance because there's still a lot of uncertainty there. Forecast for today, 84 degrees, 85 tomorrow, 86 Saturday, 88 Sunday. It gets warm and humid, too. That outside chance for a shower both Saturday and Sunday, and then a 30% chance of rain Tuesday as our next front comes through. And this one's not going to cool us down a whole lot. I know we're hoping for a cold, or cool at least, Halloween. Don't know that that's in the cards. We'll see. We're still a little ways out, but a warm forecast.
We're fairly realistic about, I mean, typically kids are sweating in their costumes this time of year.
Well, also, maybe not a big furry, thick costume for the kids ever when you're in South Texas.
Well, that scratches Chewbacca.
He's out.
Darn.
Off the table.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin. 4:51, about 65 degrees.
Well, up next, the remake of the movie Dune. Oh, it's out today. Plus, Snoop Dogg is giving us all a present for his 50th birthday.
Here are all your lottery numbers. Pick 3, 765, Fireball 4. Your daily 4 numbers, 1909, Fireball 6.
Cash 5, 15, 19, 24, 26, 30. Texas Lotto, 10, 12, 22, 37, 50, 52. And Powerball, 7, 29, 36, 41, 43. Powerball 5, Power Play 2.
The remake of Dune finally hits theaters today. Plus, Snoop Dogg releases some new music.
For the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
The outsiders ravage our land.
Get ready for the Sandworms. The remake of the movie Dune is out today. The sci-fi epic starring Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, and more. And Zendaya says even though the scope of the movie is huge, spanning several planets and a massive set.
I think at the end of the day, it is just about humans trying to survive, which I think is a pretty universal concept,
especially right now.
Dune is out this evening in theaters, and it'll start streaming tonight on HBO Max.
When I think about the future, I think about my kids and what are we going to leave them.
Also out today, chef, author, and restaurateur David Chang is taking a hard look at the future of food in his new show, The Next Thing You Eat. And he tells me one of the main things they're looking at is sustainability when it comes to that piece of steak or salmon you're having for dinner.
Everybody wants to eat more delicious things. And in a world where, by the year 2050, we're not going to have enough protein to feed the world, these are things that we're going to have to answer.
The Next Thing You Eat debuts today on Hulu.
Big subwoofer bouncing like a trampoline.
Snoop Dogg giving us a present for his 50th birthday Wednesday, new music. The single Big Subwoofer is the first from a new rap supergroup that includes Snoop, Ice Cube, E40, and Too Short. They're calling themselves Mount Westmore. And happy birthday today to Judge Judy Shineland, turning 79, while Kim Kardashian turns 41. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
All right, Mark, you said you have your tickets to Dune already?
I do. Saturday afternoon.
Are you excited?
I am.
You have good thoughts about it?
I do. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll see it when it's out of theaters,
Yeah.
I'm a late movie watcher.
Understood.
All right, 4:56 and 65 degrees.
Still ahead on GMSA this morning, what the FBI is saying about those unidentified remains recovered in the search for Brian Laundrie in Florida.
Plus, Samsung is allowing customers to design their own version of the company's latest smartphone. Details coming up in Tech Bites.
And let's see how the roads are looking right now. There are a few cars out there, 281 at Bassey. That area, that Almost Basin, I saw a little bit of fog out there this morning. but it wasn't quite over the main lanes of 281 itself just yet. We're going to talk to Stephen coming up, get our first traffic update of the morning. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Making headlines this morning, FBI special agents are giving an update about apparent human remains during the search for Brian Laundrie in the case of Gabby Petito.
Outside with live cam, the humidity is here. Be on the lookout for some potential fog out there. I saw some driving into work this morning. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, and that would be October 21st, and that is Sarah Costa.
It sure is. Hi. I'm so happy to be here on this Thursday. I'm really not happy about the humidity, Justin. I feel it. Even inside, I feel it.
Yeah, you're like the 100th person to
it's your fault,
man,
Justin.
The whole newsroom is upset about it, me included. I'm right there with you. It's not so fun to deal with. It is thick. It's leading to some fog, as Mark mentioned a little bit earlier, around Almost Basin, maybe seeing a little bit there. And we may see a little bit more before it's all said and done the rest of the morning. 64 degrees right now. Dew point is at 62, and you'll notice the temperature and the dew point close together. When they get close together and winds are light, that's perfect ingredients. Those are perfect ingredients for some fog, and we certainly may see some this morning. Up around 84 this afternoon, partly cloudy skies, southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's look at some of the temperatures around the area. 57 Bernie Stage, so a little cooler up there as you get into the hill country. 59 Kerrville, 67 Canyon Lake, 64 in Seguin. And as far as fog goes, not much here around Bexar County, but as you go south and east, visibility does drop off to about 3/4 of a mile there around Kennedy. Victoria, about 1/4 of a mile. In most of the western half of the viewing area, doing just fine. Here's some of the headlines that we're looking at. Today, some afternoon sun. It does warm up. We'll be in the low 80s to mid 80s yet again. And then this weekend, warm, humid, a couple stray showers, but should not be a big deal at all. And then next week, there is a window for rain. We're getting a little more confident with our forecast here with a front coming through Tuesday into Wednesday. We'll talk more about that here in just a bit. But now let's switch gears and talk traffic. And Stephen, I don't want you to be bored over there, but I'm hoping that things are quiet for now.
Well, you talk about the weather being a little bit warmer, Justin. Right now, the roads are looking cool. Loop 410 at Callahan does show traffic still pretty light out there this morning. Again, keep in mind, it is still very early on. We're not seeing a lot of folks out there just yet, but that's some good news if you're heading out. You can grab that cup of coffee, take a look at the roads right now. Pretty quiet, so make sure you enjoy the time if you're heading out on the roads to get to where you need to be safely, because you're not going to encounter any direct problems, at least for this hour. So we are going to take you to the map, though. We do have a stalled vehicle, though, off Loop 410 at Marbach Road. I was talking to our friends at TransGuide. They told us that somebody had experienced a blowout in that area, so make sure that you are checking your tire pressure before you get out on the highways this morning. It is still very dark, so you don't want to experience any problems out there this early. So as we take a wider look at the map, though, it does show that we have been off to a pretty good start as we're getting closer to the end of the work week. You can see Loop 1604 is still pretty clear, as well as Loop 410 right now. And if you're traveling into San Antonio, perhaps from 35, you're in good news there. I mean, 35 looks like 26 minutes to the downtown San Antonio area, 26 minutes coming in from 281 and Bulverde, and 24 on I-10 from Bernie. So again, off to a pretty decent start there. 35 at I-37 West. Just a few folks out there this morning. We'll talk construction coming up in the next few minutes. Mark, Sarah?
Thank you, Stephen. Turning now to the mysterious case of murdered 22-year-old Gabby Petito. Federal agents say they have now found what appears to be human remains, along with a bag belonging to Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie.
Officials are now working to identify those remains. ABC's Megan Tizrizian has the latest.
This morning, new questions in the Gabby Petito case, just hours after the FBI found apparent human remains in the search for Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie.
Investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie.
The discovery made in this Florida nature preserve after Laundrie's parents, Chris and Roberta, called police Tuesday night, saying they wanted to join the search in the morning.
Chris and Roberta had informed me last night that they wanted to go to the reserve today just to look around. And I notified the Northport police, who I believe notified the FBI, and they met them there this morning at 7 a.m.
The nature preserve has been the focus of the month-long search for Laundrie, but the area where the apparent remains were found had been underwater until recently.
As you can imagine, the parents are very distraught. Like everyone else, they're going to wait for the results of the forensic identification before making any further comments.
Laundrie's parents have said Brian often hiked in that area. But this latest development has some experts once again questioning his parents' cooperation in the investigation.
There's just too many strange turns that Chris and Roberta Laundrie have been involved in to not believe that something is amiss here.
Gabby Petito's parents have said they never felt their daughter was in harm's way with Brian. But to be clear, he's never been accused in her death. He's been accused only of illegally using her debit card in Wyoming. Megan Tabrizian, ABC News, San Diego.
Back here at home, a trial date now set for an Air Force major accused of his wife's murder. Andre McDonald is scheduled to be in court November 8th. Faces charges of murder and tampering with evidence. His wife, Andreen McDonald, vanished in February of 2019. Her remains were found months later on some private property in far north Bexar County. According to court records, investigators say Andre gave conflicting statements about his wife's whereabouts and then stopped cooperating with the investigation.
San Antonio's mayor is reacting to the resignation of CPS Energy CEO and President Paula Gold-Williams. In a statement, Mayor Ron Nirenberg says, part quote, the next CEO must ensure that the utility successfully navigates these challenges while ensuring the organization's stability and addressing the ratepayers' needs. The next CEO must have the vision required to thrive in the fast-changing energy industry environment and pursue smart energy strategies for the future, end quote. February's deadly winter storm exposed issues within the utility company. CPS Energy faces several lawsuits over unpaid fuel bills from that storm. Gold-Williams is set to leave the utility company early next year. The Board of Trustees plans to form an executive search committee to find the utility's next CEO and president.
$20,000. That's how much a family is offering up to find their son's killer. It's been 11 years since Eric Mendoza was killed in what police believe was a road rage shooting. It was around 1 in the morning, October 21st, 2010, when people living in the 5,000 block of Village Path on the northeast side heard gunshots and a car speeding off. When they went outside, they found 20-year-old Mendoza dead in his truck. Throughout the last decade, his family's raised thousands of dollars to add to the typical $5,000 Crime Stoppers reward. If you have any information in the case, call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP. Right now it is 5:07, about 65 degrees.
Still ahead, details on Walgreens' new drone delivery service that's starting in Texas.
And next, why Bexar County commissioners have hired their own consultant to look at the county jail and how they are expected to pay for the service.
And if you enjoyed that humidity-free weather we had last week, well, it's back according to Justin. He'll have our full forecast when we come back.
Two consultants are coming to the Bexar County Jail to review operations. Sheriff Javier Salazar recently announced his pick for jail consultant in this situation.
Bexar County commissioners say they've been looking for a consultant since, but they have a different pick. They selected American Correctional Consultants. The commissioners' pick will come at a cost of around $19,000 in taxpayer money from the General Revenue Fund. The goal of both consultants is to look at ways to improve jail operations, like cutting overtime to save money, which, according to Precinct 3 Commissioner Trish DeBerry, has been up to $3 million per quarter.
This has never been about one-upsmanship or political gamesmanship. This has been about how do we improve morale and culture of the jail, get a handle on staffing, and quit wasting taxpayer money.
Commissioner DeBerry says their consultant has worked with jails in similar size to Bexar County's facility. During a Facebook Live last week, Sheriff Salazar said the consultant he chose worked the Texas system before. The sheriff's office plans to pay for its consultant using the jail's asset forfeiture fund instead of tax dollars. Both consultants are expected to be done with their work by early next year.
It's now 5:12, still about 65 degrees.
Still ahead, details on a possible buyout of Pinterest by PayPal.
Plus how Samsung is allowing you to design your own smartphone.
Yes, so what I'm saying is people like options. When you take Geico, you can call them anytime you feel like saving money. It don't matter, day or night. Use your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, whatever. The point is, you have options. How convenient. Oi, crab cakes. What are you looking at?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Are you okay?
Oh, it's just a cold. If you have high blood pressure, a cold is not just a cold. Unlike other cold medicines, Coricidin provides powerful cold relief without raising your blood pressure. Be there for life's best moments with Coricidin, now in sugar-free liquid.
Are you leaving the house like that? Like what? Old man elbows? You can thank your father for that. You need Jergens Ultra Healing Lotion to soften those suckers up.
I love it. Thanks, Mom.
Okay. I'm free for dinner. And energizing citrus body butter. Jergens.
1:15. Walgreens has started drone delivery service in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has details in today's Tech Bites.
In today's Tech Bites, drones will be delivering major packages to a metropolitan area for the first time. Customers in 2 Dallas suburbs would be able to order a product from Walgreens or other participating stores, and a drone from a company called Wing will drop it off within 10 minutes. A mega merger could be in the works online. Digital payment company PayPal is in talks to buy Pinterest, the online sharing and e-commerce company. Now, just a year and a half ago, Pinterest was valued at $10 billion. This deal with PayPal could be worth $45 billion. Finally, you can now create the look of your Samsung Galaxy phone. The company is offering the Z Flip 3 Bespoke Edition. Users can select their own color combinations. You can design your phone on Samsung's website, but it's going to cost you about $1,100. Talk about a humongous price tag. Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
You know, we always have to check in with the roads on traffic. What about in the future, Stephen, if you have to do traffic for drones?
Traffic for drones?
Yes.
Then I would require
drone traffic.
Well, then I think we need cameras up in the sky to track the traffic up there. But I wouldn't mind that. That'd be cool. Maybe they'd put me on a chopper or an airplane.
Or maybe
somewhere.
you're on a drone.
That would be something. I like that. But, you know, right now we're here on Earth and on the ground, and things are looking good right now here on I-35 at Eisenhower. Traffic picking up in that area, but nothing too major right now that's going to cause any delays for your early morning commute. So plenty of time to grab that pumpkin spice coffee and just enjoy the drive, because it is going to be a smooth morning so far. But again, things can always change when we start seeing people getting out on the roadways a little bit later on. But we do still have this stall off Loop 410 at Marbach. If you were with us a little bit earlier, you recall our friends at TransGuide said somebody did experience a blowout in that area, so make sure you are checking the tire pressures. But in general, make sure you are checking your vehicles, because we are spotting another stall right here off Loop 1604 westbound right at Culebra Road. But you can see those lanes are still really green on the screen, so that's some good news there. But we hope that driver receives assistance soon so they can get to where they need to be on time and safely. We talk about construction here off I-10 in Kendall County, so we're seeing the final overlay work that's going to lead to a single eastbound main lane closure. It's been going on for a little while now, but should be wrapping up by Friday. That's tomorrow, already October 22nd. It's at Scenic Loop Road to Balcones Creek. It's the final overlay work again. We are seeing more progress out there for the I-10 at Kendall extension project. So again, just make sure you're planning accordingly as we start to see more construction sites popping up and then clearing out. But right now, the roads are looking pretty good. As you can see on the screen, we're not seeing any big delays at this hour. If you remember yesterday, there was a big delay on 35. Thankfully, that looks like it's nice and clear right now. But US 90, 281 at Bassey, just a few folks out there this morning. Things are looking good here on Earth. Guys.
Awesome. Well, the skeleton crew is at it again.
Yes, it's our daily dose of the skeletons. And this morning, it's, well, I wouldn't say the village people, it's the village skeletons, right? Because here we go, YMCA.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's well done. It's well done. The creativity here, and we've got, what, another week and a half?
The outfits for the skeletons.
Spot on.
I wonder if Amazon's like, we are so tired of delivering outfits.
I don't know.
We're there several times a day.
Well, I'm now I got, you know, there's so much more they can come up with. We'll see what they do next couple of weeks.
They've raised the bar pretty high, Justin.
Yeah, they have. They have set the bar very high. But great shot. We love it. Skywatcher continues to send these in, and we love seeing them. Thank you so much. Outside right now, we've got some cloudy skies, or at least a few clouds out there. 64 degrees. Dew point is at 62. We'll be watching these two numbers really closely, because that dew point temperature coming together, some light winds, that could spell some fog here in San Antonio, although we have not seen much yet. Most of the fog is down to the south and east. Places like Kennedy, Beeville, that's where the fog is really starting to thicken up. And that's where we also have a dense fog advisory. That's going to go until 10 a.m. this morning. So if you're watching us from Pleasanton, Beeville, Victoria, Gonzales, that is an area where we certainly could see some fog. you'll want to take it slow if you're traveling early this morning. Upper 50s for Kerrville and Fredericksburg, 60s for everybody else. 64 Gonzales, 65 Pleasanton, and then some warmer readings as you get out towards Del Rio, Cotulla, and down towards Laredo. Dew point tracker. Oof, I wish this looked different. It just doesn't. We are dealing with humidity all the way into next week. Now, after we get past Tuesday, there is an opportunity that these dew points will fall off a little bit and we'll get less humidity. But in the meantime, the humidity stays thick, especially through the weekend and early next week. This frontal boundary that sits just to our north, it's roughly from Dallas to Abilene over towards Midland, Odessa. It does not shift south. It does not bring us drier air. It stalls out. And so we really don't get any benefits from it. There could be a couple showers a little bit later this afternoon along the front, and maybe a couple thunderstorms as you get out towards the mountains. There's a small risk for some severe weather out there, but it's just not for us. So we're going to see partly cloudy skies this afternoon. 84 degrees, the forecast high, with those clouds starting to clear out a little bit later today. Easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's look forward in time here, and we'll fast forward to Saturday, 5 o'clock. Most of us will be in good shape Saturday. There will be some morning clouds and then partly cloudy afternoon. There could be a couple showers east of I-35. It's not going to be a big deal, though. It would be very light, and I don't think really we're going to see a whole lot on the radar. That'll be the case Sunday afternoon, too. As we get towards Tuesday, though, that's when things start to change. We're going to watch what's going on in the Pacific. There's a hurricane down there, may feed us some moisture. Storm system coming in from the west. Those two things coming together will give us a window for rain. I think it's a pretty small window, though, and I don't know that we're going to get just a ton of rain out of this. There is that chance, though, Tuesday afternoon and then early Wednesday morning as the front comes through. And then behind it, we'll clear out Wednesday afternoon, get some gusty winds, and maybe cool down some. I don't think it's going to be a huge cool down, but we'll get that northerly flow, and temperatures hopefully will come down into the low 80s versus the mid to upper 80s. 85 degrees tomorrow, 86 Saturday, 88 Sunday. Slight chance for showers, some morning clouds and patchy fog each day. And then the pattern does change a little bit. 84 Tuesday, 30% chance of rain, 83 on Wednesday.
The folks doing the skeletons, we put in a request about a week ago for a GMSA anchor team set up, but I know that would require expensive plexiglass and suits and everything.
And wigs and
all that stuff.
But if they can make it happen.
Yes, they could. Amazing. They could. It would be very elaborate. We need 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's more than enough skeletons to make this happen, right?
I'm already skinny enough, so.
Stephen volunteers his time. Thank you, Stephen.
Can't wait to see that picture. Skeleton, Stephen. 522, about 65 degrees.
Well, still ahead in our morning spotlight, Gene Simmons of KISS tries painting, and No Time to Die climbs the global box office chart.
Your lottery numbers this morning. Pick 3, 765, Fireball 4, Daily 4, 1909, Fireball 6.
Cash 5, 15, 19, 24, 26, 30. Texas Lotto 10, 12, 22, 37, 50, 52. Powerball 7, 29, 36, 41, 43. Powerball 5. Power Play 2.
Some entertainment news now, including a famous musician who tried another art form during lockdown.
Here's CNN's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
Gene Simmons of KISS is known for his music, but he's also doodled and drawn his entire life. So when Simmons was locked down for the pandemic, he turned to painting.
So I took some time off and I said, why don't I try painting? I've never done it. I'm not schooled. I have no idea what I'm doing. I also don't know what's in the hood of my truck, but I can drive it. So I let my stream of consciousness take over and I painted.
A gallery exhibit of Simmons' artworks is at the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas through Saturday. James. No Time to Die is racking up ticket sales worldwide. The Bond flick has surpassed Godzilla vs. Kong as the second highest grossing Hollywood movie of the year globally. F9 The Fast Saga is still Hollywood's worldwide #1 of 2021 with more than $716 million.
It's good for
Oscar winner Adam McKay is this year's first honoree for the Oscar Wilde Awards, a lighthearted affair from the U.S.-Ireland Alliance. The writer, director, and producer was born in the U.S., but the Alliance's founder notes McKay has roots and a home in Ireland, adding, a great storyteller. Of course, he's Irish. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Videos of him and Will Ferrell going back and forth are kind of funny.
Yeah.
527, about 65 degrees.
Still ahead, the CDC vaccine advisors are meeting today on the heels of the FDA's authorization of 2 more COVID-19 boosters.
Plus, a major cruise line offering a cruise that lasts nearly a year and goes to all 7 continents. Can you guess how much it'll cost?
Ooh, it's a good tease. Well, many mothers suffer from postpartum depressions. Ahead on GMSA, we'll tell you about some local resources that can help treat the baby blues.
Making headlines this morning, the nation's top health officials giving advice about allowing COVID boosters for people as young as 40.
65 degrees at 5:30 this morning. There's lots of humidity out there. Will it stick around or will it go away? Justin will let us know in just a bit.
Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, the 21st.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I'm so happy the Spurs won on their season opener last night.
They did. Won big over the Magic, 123-97. Of course, Astros got a win. They bring it home tomorrow night. Back to Minute Maid Park.
A lot of South Texas sports fans waking up happy this morning. What I'm not happy about, Justin, is how sticky it is out there.
Humidity levels they just keep growing. I mean, we're going to see some really sticky conditions the next couple of days, that's for sure. Unfortunately, it doesn't really lead to a lot of rain, just some morning clouds and maybe a little bit of fog. Football forecast, if you're heading out to some of those games tonight, looks pretty good. It is going to be warm and humid. Nothing like last week where we had some really nice conditions. 80 degrees at kickoff, 73 halftime. Sunset is around 6:57. So that sunset is now before 7 o'clock. Heads up there. Outside right now, we've got those humid conditions. Temperatures sitting at 64 degrees. Dew point is at 62. And there's a light west-northwesterly wind around 5 miles per hour. Most of us are in the 60s. There are a few spots that are looking at some 50s this morning, up around Kerrville and Comfort. 63 in Hondo, 67 in Divine, 63 in Seguin. And we're going to be watching for a little bit of fog, generally south and east of San Antonio. Kennedy continues to be the kind of hot spot, if you will, when it comes to fog, down to about half a mile. Dense fog advisories are in effect south and east of San Antonio through 10 o'clock this morning. Here's your forecast for today. Looks very similar to yesterday, up around 84 degrees. Clouds early and then partly cloudy skies later today. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check in on traffic this morning. Things seemed pretty quiet earlier. Still the case?
We're keeping our fingers crossed here, Justin. Right now, things are quiet, and we got light traffic there of 37 at Cesar Chavez. In fact, it looks like there's probably just a few vehicles out there right now, so you got the roads to yourself if you're heading out the door there in the next few moments. Just taking a look around town, though. Again, another shot at 37 at Cesar Chavez. We want to show it again just because it looks so great right now. The fact that traffic is light is a good sign, especially, again, if you're just getting your morning started, but make sure you are checking those vehicles. We still have this stalled vehicle off 1604 westbound right at Culebra. It is not causing any issues, but as we mentioned a little bit earlier in the newscast, make sure you're checking that tire pressure. Make sure that you're all fueled up because we have been seeing a few stalls out there this morning. So you don't want to experience any trouble on the highways, especially when it is still dark outside. So remember, just take it safe out there. But again, it has been a pretty green start this morning. We're not spotting any delays. Seeing a little bit of a buildup up here just past New Braunfels. We'll find out what's going on there on 35 northbound, but it doesn't look like it's impacting any of the traffic coming into the southbound lanes. Still 25 minutes from 35 in New Braunfels and green across the board, which is what we'd like to see. 29 minutes from I-10 in Seguin, 22 from 87 in Lavernia, and we're looking at just 28 minutes right now from Flotusville. So that's some good news if you're traveling to San Antonio there in the next few moments. One last look around town, 35 at Topperwine. Traffic getting a little bit busier there on 35. We'll be keeping a close eye on the roadways here in the traffic lab. Mark, Sarah?
Thank you, Stephen. Now to late breaking news. A street in the middle of a West Side neighborhood is the center of a crime scene. Homicide detectives are there investigating a deadly shooting that happened earlier this morning.
Our Katrina Weber is at the scene in the 8200 block of Meadow Fire. That's near Culebra and Timberview. Now, Katrina, we understand this was a result of an argument. Do you know if anyone's in custody?
Well, police did tell us that they have someone they're questioning. We also saw a man being loaded into the back of a patrol car and driven away. We don't know yet, though, if they are considering the person a suspect. What we have seen here is an investigation going on. Police seem to be focusing on the driveway of a home here in the 8200 block of Meadow Fire. They got called here a little bit before 3:30 this morning for that shooting. Police tell us that two men in their 30s were arguing in the driveway. One of the men was shot during that argument, and he did die here at the scene. And again, police detained that man who is in his 30s, who they believe somehow was involved in this, and they're questioning him at this point. They are also attempting to answer a lot of questions with their thorough investigation they're conducting. We have seen almost about a dozen evidence markers here in that area on the driveway and on the street as police continue to try to piece together what happened. But again, one man in his 30s dead, another detained for questioning. At this point, we don't know yet if he's a suspect. Reporting live on the west side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. New this morning, a late-night fire at a Northwest Side home woke up a woman a little earlier than planned. San Antonio fire officials say it happened around 10 o'clock last night in the 7,000 block of Springleaf Drive, just south of Babcock. An incident commander says a woman woke up to the smell of smoke. She then found that her bathroom was on fire. She was able to get out safely. Firefighters responded and were able to knock the flames out quickly. No injuries were reported.
The FDA just signed off on emergency use for 2 new boosters and combining COVID-19 vaccines.
Now it's up to the CDC to finalize that move. CNN's Britt Conway takes a look ahead at what else is in the works.
Moderna's booster, Johnson & Johnson's booster, and the possibility of mix and match boosters, all FDA authorized, and now all in the hands of the CDC's vaccine advisors. If they give the thumbs up, it's up to the CDC's director to make recommendations, and shots could be in arms in a matter of days. Evidence of waning vaccine immunity is what the FDA says drove its decision here. But for now, boosters are only for people 65 and older and certain at-risk groups, though that could soon change.
We will not hesitate to drop this age range as we see that benefit clearly outweighs the risk.
I think that data is really emerging that people over 40 probably would benefit. And over time, I can imagine even younger people getting it. My guess is that we're all going to eventually end up needing boosters, but we should be driven by the data.
And it's data from the NIH that drove the FDA's call on mixing and matching shots. There's also an element of convenience.
Some people may not be able to easily access a booster that's the same as what they got before, and because of patient preference.
Not to mention data that shows a particular benefit of mixing and matching for people who got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
We know that the mRNA vaccine will give them a better immune response, and this is already in practice.
And practice could soon line up with policy. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Well, this morning, the Centers for Disease Control says onions are the cause of a salmonella outbreak in 37 states, including Texas, which has the most cases of the ongoing outbreak with 158. In all, about 650 people have gotten sick. 129 people have been hospitalized, but no deaths have been reported. The source of the outbreak is whole red, white, and yellow onions imported from Chihuahua, Mexico, and distributed in the U.S. by ProSource. The CDC says do not eat, sell, or serve them. Instead, throw them away and wash surfaces that they may have come in contact with. Also throw away any unlabeled whole red, white, or yellow onions at home. The FDA says the important dates for the onions are from July 1st to August 27th.
Former President Donald Trump is starting his own social media network. He says the new company called Trump Media and Technology Group, or TMTG, will launch what he calls Truth Social. The former president was banned from most social media platforms earlier this year following the January 6th insurrection. Trump says he created Truth Social to, quote, stand up to the tyranny of big tech, end quote. A beta launch for invited guests is set for November with a nationwide rollout expected early next year.
It's 5:38 and 65 degrees.
Still ahead, the shooter responsible for the deadliest high school shooting in U.S. history officially pleads guilty. What that means for the penalty phase of his case.
Plus, are you ready for the journey of a lifetime? We'll tell you about a new 274-day cruise, how much it'll cost.
Outside with live cam, Justin says be on the lookout for some fog. And we're going to get an update on our forecast one day closer to the weekend. You're watching GMSA. Right now it's 5:41. The gunman responsible for the deadliest high school shooting in U.S. history changing his plea to guilty on all 34 charges related to the massacre.
Nicholas Cruz killed 17 people and injured 17 more when he opened fire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. As CNN's Camilla Bernal reports, the change in plea averts a lengthy trial, which now moves to the penalty phase.
How do you wish to plead?
Guilty.
An emotional day in court for the families of victims of the Parkland school shooting.
Hearing all of those people and how they died. I mean, 12 shots, 8 shots, 3 shots.
17 counts of murder.
Count 13.
And 17 counts of attempted murder read out loud. Each time, Nicholas Cruz giving the same response.
Guilty.
And offering a short apology after the judge accepted his plea.
I am very sorry for what I did, and I have to live with it every day.
If he wanted to apologize, he shouldn't have murdered Gina and the other 16 people that day.
Tony Montalto's 14-year-old daughter was among the 17 killed in the massacre of students and faculty members at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
She was had a smile that lit up a room. She was kind-hearted and always looked to help others.
Prosecutors plan to pursue the death penalty when the sentencing phase begins on January 4th. The shooter's fate will fall to a jury.
I think he deserves as much of a chance as he gave my daughter and everyone else on February 14th of 2018.
And the community hoping the end of the legal fight can bring them closure.
He has sucked all of the energy out of so many people, and we have to stop allowing him the power to take anything else from us.
I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
Thursday morning, now 5:43.
Up next, looking for a new pet, the San Antonio Humane Society has a new family member waiting to go home with you today.
Okay, take a look at this little baby on Kim's lap, and that's only 2.5 months old. So we got a lot of growing to do. Kim's here from the San Antonio Humane Society. Look at that face.
Good morning. So this is Sweetheart, and as you can tell, we are getting ready for Halloween. I mean, for sure. And look at this sweet little baby girl. She is a 2.5-month-old Shepherd mix. So sweet, very calm, just sitting in your lap right now. But definitely is going to be a big dog. So somebody that's going to want to get outside and play and jog.
Big bags of food, lots of chew toys, and speaking of Halloween too, not too soon to think about keeping your dogs. Make sure they're inside because they're going to be going nuts with all the doorbell ringing and all the kids running around and all that. So be real careful with that. So
yes, absolutely.
Do you have any specials going on?
During this time, we want you to come out. We'll have some cat and kitten adoption specials going on. So come check us out. See our sweet baby puppies and our cats, kittens, and dogs.
Keep that up. That one's going to be falling asleep. So.
I know.
Take up a lot of room on the couch, too. Head on over to the San Antonio Humane Society, 4804 Fredericksburg Road, 226-7461. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Officials in Nevada have approved plans for Elon Musk's infrastructure firm, The Boring Company, to create an underground transportation network in Las Vegas. The so-called Vegas Loop will run underneath the Strip. Officials say the system will also serve the local university and Allegiant Stadium, home of the Raiders. One leg of the tunnel is already being built. The company expects to open it early next year. The Boring Company wants to eventually build out the loop to include other parts of the Las Vegas Valley.
All right, so if you're looking to get away for a while, Royal Caribbean is offering a 274-night cruise that reaches all 7 continents. The company is calling it the Ultimate World Cruise. It's on the ship called the Serenade of the Seas and has a sail date of December of 2023. The voyage includes 65 countries, 11 wonders of the world. For the first week of sales, only Royal Caribbean members with elite status can buy those tickets. This trip will set you back $61,000 per person, and that's just for an interior room.
Okay, 2 things. Yes, I would do it. And 2, I thought it would be like $261,000. This is a bargain compared to some other worldwide cruises.
Yeah, I want to know what the wonders of the world that they're going to show you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do it. I get cabin fever. I'm just like.
Do you? Well, then don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do this. She has cabin fever and she's been gone just over a year.
Yeah.
Or under a year.
Yeah, I can't even do the 7 days. Stephen, would you take this cruise?
Well, it's 274 days. Do you think they would approve my vacation time?
You can take a sabbatical.
Okay.
Sure. if our news director is watching, you're about to find out.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work out for me just yet. But right now, things look like they're working out for that driver that we talked about a little bit earlier here off 1604 at Culebra. There was a stalled vehicle that was reported there. I saw a shot of TransGuide where they were receiving some assistance, some flashing lights out there. But just check out how dark it is still. Obviously, the sun's not out just yet, so not a place you want to be stranded on this early in the morning. But taking you right to the map, that was there off Loop 1604 westbound, right at Culebra Road. So it wasn't causing any issues, but we'd been seeing a few stalls that were popping up, then clearing out. Right now, the map does show that it is still pretty quiet on the roadways. So that's a good sign, especially if you're just heading out the door and getting in your car and getting ready to hit the roadways. But again, make sure you are checking those vehicles because we did have a few stalls out there. Just as a reminder, we haven't brought this up in a while. KSAT has an amazing program here called the Highway Emergency Response Operator, otherwise known as a hero trucks. You may have seen them out there at crash scenes or maybe just assisting other drivers that are experiencing some troubles on their cars. Some of the services they provide to stranded motorists do include relocating those disabled vehicles to safety, changing flat tires, giving air to low tires, adding gasoline and water, and making sure that they can perform minor vehicle repairs and even jump starting batteries. Just keep in mind, you have to be stranded on a highway to receive that assistance. Their number 210-732-HERO. We talk about them all the time. They are very busy, especially when the roads get a little bit hectic out there. But right now they look pretty quiet and calm. 1604 Culebra, one last shot there. Still dark outside. Just make sure you're driving with caution, guys.
Steven, I have a question about Hero. You said a highway. Essentially, you have to be on the freeway somewhere, right?
Yeah, not on any of the access roads. Right, I'm sorry, not any of the neighborhoods. If you're experiencing trouble just away from the highways, probably just best to call somebody. But on the highways, they're there 24/7, day and night.
Out on the main freeways.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. And Justin, of course you had to do the scary thing with the spider.
All right, well, we're getting closer to Halloween. If you're a little squeamish, look away. We don't just show weather pictures here on KSAT Connect. We got the spiders, too. This video is from R. Garcia. We'll see if it plays.
It's a video. Oh, God.
Oh, it's a video.
Yeah, the funny part here is that it scared whoever took the R. Garcia. So they jumped back thinking that the spider had jumped on them. I think I'd do the same thing. Oh, thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
There you go. Appreciate you. Yeah, we take photos, videos, anything you got are there on our KSAT Connect. Good stuff, though. Thank you very much. As we look outside, seeing some clouds trying to build in here around San Antonio, but not seeing much. 64 degrees at the airport, 68 Stinson, 64 Kelly, 64 at Randolph, and just a light wind at this hour. Again, as we talked about earlier, that's a good setup for some fog. We've seen a little bit. Not much here around San Antonio, but down to the south and east, certainly. Looking at the satellite picture, and it's always kind of hard to pick out these morning clouds, but we are seeing some of those around Uvalde out towards Lakey. We've got some high clouds over top of that, but I think you're going to see some fairly cloudy conditions if you're along the Rio Grande. Eagle Pass up to Del Rio. Here in San Antonio, again, things still pretty quiet as far as cloud cover goes. And same story with the fog. Now, down towards Kennedy, we're still at about a half a mile visibility. Beeville, 1.25 miles there. And the dense fog advisory is in effect until 10 o'clock this morning. This does not include San Antonio, just our southeastern counties. Temperature-wise, we're starting off in the 60s. I don't really think you'll need a light jacket this morning. I mean, you may if temperatures in the 60s are a little cool for you, but it's fairly humid out there. Dew points in the 60s. And that moisture spreads all the way up to about I-20, and then it just stops. There is a frontal boundary there. That front does not move any further south today, though, so it doesn't give us any relief. It'll just be North Texas. Our forecast calls for a high right around 84 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Those morning clouds, if we do see any, will scatter out. Very quickly, we've got to talk about what's going on in the tropics down there in the Pacific. Developing system here, about a 90% chance of development. And some of this moisture, like last week, could get brought up into Texas out ahead of our next storm system. Something we'll watch Tuesday and Wednesday, but I don't think it's going to be like last week in the sense that we're going to get a ton of heavy rain. Window's pretty small. We may just see a little bit of extra moisture from the Pacific. And we'll fast forward to Sunday, not much there. But as we get into Tuesday, here comes that storm system, brings some rain with it, maybe even early Wednesday morning as well, and then breezy conditions there behind it. We're just going to put in a 30% chance of rain there on Tuesday as it comes through. Otherwise, 10% chance of rain this weekend, no big deal. And that 30% chance there Tuesday, maybe some slightly cooler conditions on Wednesday.
Thank you, Justin. 5:54, about 65 degrees. Let's take a look at your lottery numbers.
Pick 3, 765, Fireball 4, Daily 4, 1909, Fireball 6.
Cash 5 numbers 15, 19, 24, 26, 30. Lotto Texas 10, 12, 22, 37, 50, 52. And Powerball 7, 29, 36, 41, 43. Powerball 5, Power Play 2.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, we'll have the latest on the Bryan Laundrie manhunt. Authorities finding those apparent human remains in the nature reserve. But we're going to have more on what comes next, right here on GMA.
Head on GMSA at 6. Scary moments. 2 people rescued from a house on the south side after a fire. We'll tell you what else we know about that. Could your next package arrive via drone? That's the case for some customers up in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We have details on that. And TransGuide right now, there's I-37 at Cesar Chavez right near the Alamo Dome. We're waking up on a Thursday. Much more to come right here on GMSA. We'll be back.
Two major green lights given by the FDA in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. I'm Alex Brachet in Washington. I'll have details coming up.
High-scoring win for our young San Antonio Spurs. Ahead on GMSA, highlights from their opening night victory.
And that humidity, it's back, but how long will it stick around for? Justin's in for Mike. He will give us the full forecast in just a bit.
Live from KSAT 12. Good morning, San Antonio starts right now.
Good morning. It is Thursday, October 21st, and a roll call. Sarah's in for Steph, Justin's in for Mike, and we are starting out, yes, with a Spurs win this morning.
That's right, and I love your tie. It's the Spurs tie. It pops.
Vintage.
Can we show?
It's got the vintage Fiesta colors there, so kind of digging it.
Okay, you have to. Are you going to wear it every time the Spurs win?
Not every time they
But what
win.
if?
I mean, it's a long season, but
yeah.
people would be like, do you have any other ties, Mark?
Well, we're happy they did win, so go Spurs, go.
Very much so. Justin's here with more on our forecast, and I was telling you early, Justin, my travels take me 281 south to downtown. Yeah. Look to the right and, of course, see that telltale fog there in the Olmos Basin, kind of near the Quarry Market.
Yeah, that's always a spot where you're going to get fog initially if we're going to see some fog here around San Antonio. I'm not surprised there's a little bit there, and I think we could see maybe some here in town. Better chance of fog as you get south and east of San Antonio. That's where there are dense fog advisories in effect. Right now, we're in the 60s. Not a bad morning. Yes, I know the humidity is there, but at least we're down in the low 60s. 63 Port SA, 63 right now in Hondo, and some 50s. If you're watching us from up there in Kerrville and Comfort this morning. Again, no issues with fog yet here in town, but you go down towards Kennedy and Beeville, seeing visibility down to about a mile, Victoria down to about a quarter of a mile. And again, there are dense fog advisories till about 10 a.m. down southeast of San Antonio. Very quickly, if you missed yesterday's pollen count, molds, ragweed, grass, all low. It's been a good week in the pollen count. We've kept everything in the low category, right where we like it. Forecast for today takes us up to about 84 degrees. We'll lose some of those morning clouds. It'll go partly cloudy today. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. If you're hoping for some rain, there are some chances, some small chances next week. We'll talk about that and how there could be a little bit of a tropical connection too. We'll have the latest on that forecast in just a bit. Well, let's get over to Stephen now. Things should be starting to heat up on the roads, right?
Yeah, we're getting things going. Justin, 35 at Eisenhower showed that we're getting a few folks out there right now. As we take a look at some of these shots at TransGuide, you can see, people are getting out there this morning. We're getting closer to that morning rush, and right now is a great time to head out the door. But you can see right now it is definitely getting a little bit busier in some of these spots. We're seeing a lot more folks getting the morning started. Just make sure you're driving carefully. As we take you to the map, we were hoping to start this 6 a.m. hour a little bit quiet. As you saw at TransGuide, there wasn't really a lot going on from those camera views, but we really want to bring your attention right here to 35, the southbound lanes at Walden. We do have a stalled vehicle that just came in. So far, that looks like it's a trending issue. People are having car troubles out there on the roads and the highways, so make sure you are planning accordingly and make sure your vehicle is working properly. Again, we have been seeing a few more of these popping up on the highways, but right now everything still pretty much is calm, especially here if you're traveling to San Antonio. 28 minutes from Pleasanton on 37 to the downtown areas, 17 on 35 from Lytle, and 18 minutes coming in from Highway 90 in Castroville. But taking one last jump back to TransGuide, 35 at 37, it is getting a little bit busier, but again, make sure your vehicles are working properly, and we'll continue to watch these roads closely throughout the morning. Mark, Sarah?
Thank you, sir. Angry words between two men appeared to have led to deadly gunfire. San Antonio police investigating that shooting happened outside a home on the west side in the 8200 block of Meadowfire.
That's near Culebra Road in Timberview. Our Katrina Weber is there live. Now, Katrina, do police know the reason for the violence?
Well, if they do have details, they haven't shared those with us. They just told us that there were two men who were arguing right outside the home here where they're working here in the 8200 block of Meadowfire. This was about 3:30 this morning. Let me give you a better look by showing you the video that we have. Police arrived here, again, just before 3:30 in the morning. They say there were two men in their 30s who had been involved in an argument outside in the driveway. One of those men shot the other, killing him. We did see police put someone with handcuffs into the back of a patrol car. We also saw them take another person away without handcuffs. We don't know yet whether either of those is the suspect. They did tell us, though, that they have someone in custody in connection with the shooting. Since that time, they've been here collecting evidence from that area in the driveway, in the street. We saw almost a dozen evidence markers here, and police are still keeping guard over the scene because we understand that the victim is still here on the ground in the driveway. But again, they're investigating that shooting, which appears to have been the result of an argument. Reporting live on the west side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
New this morning, two people taken to a hospital following a fire at a Southside home. It happened around 3:30 this morning on East Edmonds near Division, and that's where firefighters say a car flames from a car fire spread to the house. A man and woman were rescued from the house and taken to the hospital. They are expected to be okay. It's unclear what sparked the car fire. There are no damage estimates on the house at this time.
Well, a frightening wake-up call for one woman who woke up to her house on fire. It happened around 10 o'clock last night at a northwest side home on Springleaf Drive, just south of Babcock. That's where crews say the woman inside was awakened by the smell of smoke. She then noticed that her bathroom was on fire. That woman was able to make it out safely and no one else was hurt. Firefighters put out the flames quickly, but they don't know what sparked that fire.
San Antonio Police Crime Stoppers looking for help to find two men they believe are connected to a West Side robbery. The incident happened back on September 24th on South Zarzamora near Highway 90. And that's where San Antonio police say two masked men with guns went into the Amigo Food Mart and demanded money from the cash register. Suspects did fire around inside the store before they took off. If you have any information about this incident, you're asked to call 210-224-STOP. Now to another big story we're following this morning, the resignation of CPS Energy's CEO and President Paula Gold-Williams.
Jonathan Cotto is following this story and joins us in studio this morning. Good morning, Jonathan. What do you know about this so far?
Mark and Sarah, people are still reacting to that news. San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg released a statement thanking Gold-Williams for her service while acknowledging with a number of issues.
All right, Jonathan, I don't think your microphone's on, so I think we're going to come back to you here momentarily. So stick around. We'll get right back to you in just a second. Guys, we're going to jump to page 41 now. 6:07 this morning. The FDA now authorizing Moderna and Johnson & Johnson boosters for certain populations.
ABC's Alex Brachet has the latest from Washington.
This morning, major green lights. The FDA officially authorizing COVID boosters for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. The Moderna booster for the same population as Pfizer after 6 months for people 65 and older and those at high risk due to health or where they work. J&J boosters after 2 months for anyone over 18. The other news, the FDA also allowing Americans to mix and match any of the 3 vaccines as a booster.
And this is important because it's going to provide additional protection to a large portion of this population and also provides really some flexibility to people.
The CDC advisory panel now meets today. They typically sign off rather quickly. Still, the news is reassuring for 57-year-old Rose Tamburino. Concerned about the durability of her J&J shot and frustrated the FDA hadn't acted, she went out and got a Pfizer dose.
I felt better doing it than not, though, because I just want to be protected.
The White House also rolling out its plan to get Pfizer vaccines to 28 million children ages 5 to 11 starting in early November.
We need everyone on board for the work ahead of us because every parent should have the information and tools that they need to help keep their kids safe.
Once regulators sign off, more than 15 million doses will ship out to doctors' offices, pharmacies, community and school clinics. And overnight, vaccine mandates now causing 2 airline unions to issue warnings to pilots. The unions representing pilots at both Southwest and American Airlines sending a letter to their pilots warning not to get distracted by vaccine mandate talk in the cockpit. The warning comes after an uptick in self-reports of distracted pilots to the FAA. Airlines are subject to that vaccine mandate for federal contractors that President Biden signed in September. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
All right, now back to that big story, the resignation of CPS Energy's Paula Gold-Williams.
Our Jonathan Cotto is on this story, following it this morning with the working mic now. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Mark and Sarah. Well, people are still reacting to that news. San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg released a statement thanking Gold-Williams for her service while acknowledging the utility is dealing with a number of serious issues. Here's a look at some of what was said. The next CEO must ensure that the utility successfully navigates these challenges while ensuring the organization's stability and addressing the ratepayers' needs. The next CEO must have the vision required to thrive in the fast-changing energy industry environment and to pursue smart energy strategies for the future. End quote. Now, CPS Energy is the nation's largest public power company, and Gold-Williams has led the agency since 2016. She struggled to lead the utility through flaws exposed by the winter storm. She faced multiple internal complaints, and the utility plummeted in public opinion polls. Now, CPS Energy faces several lawsuits over unpaid fuel bills from that storm. There's also a possible double-digit rate hike for CPS Energy customers. Gold-Williams' resignation comes after the utility's chief operation officer resigned after past ethics and corporate spending complaints against him. Now, Gold-Williams is set to leave the utility early next year. The Board of Trustees plans to form an executive search committee to find the utility's next CEO and president. Of course, this is a story we'll continue to follow. Back to you, Mark and Sarah.
Jonathan, thank you very much. Any more consumer headlines? Drones will be delivering packages in major metro areas for the first time, starting here in Texas. Customers in 2 Dallas suburbs would be able to order products from Walgreens or other participating stores, and a drone from a company called Wing will drop them off within just 10 minutes time.
Your order, though, for those drones can't be more than 3 pounds.
I was going to say, if it's an emergency like I need Band-Aids or toothpaste, done.
Done. But, you know, the big items, no.
No box of wine this time.
Darn.
6:11, about 65 degrees.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, Paris Hilton is pushing for change when it comes to young people. We'll have the story coming up.
But first, our Spurs get a big-time win on opening night for the season against the Magic. This is actually the youngest Spurs team Coach Pop has ever coached. Devin Vassell led the way for the Silver and Black with 19 points. Final from the AT&T Center last night. Spurs win it 123-97. Next up, Silver and Black have a road match with the Denver Nuggets. That game tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Spurs will try to keep the momentum going.
65 degrees at 6:11 this morning. That humidity is back. How long will it be around for? Justin's in for Mike. He'll let us know when we come back. Well, we turn now to Washington and Paris Hilton's visit to Capitol Hill.
She says she's on a mission to help children. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more.
Paris Hilton, the entrepreneur, model, and hotel heiress, is now fighting to change what she calls a troubled teen industry.
I come here not as Paris Hilton, but as a survivor.
On Capitol Hill Wednesday, Hilton urged Congress and President Biden to pass the Accountability for Congregate Care Act. The bill would establish a Bill of Rights for children placed in residential treatment centers and would create a federal commission to document abuse at the facilities. In her recent documentary, the original social media influencer came forward with allegations that she was abused as a teenager at a Utah boarding school.
I started remembering who I was before. It makes me sad they took that away.
Hilton says people at the school would force her to take pills, beat her, and watch her shower.
It was the most painful and traumatic experience of my life. Just every day wishing that I would wake up from this nightmare, being physically abused, yelled at, restrained, locked in rooms, forced medication, being watched by male staff while I would take a shower. I had basically no human rights.
Her message to Congress comes after her successful campaign in Utah, which resulted in a new law regulating facilities in that state.
Ensuring children are safe from institutional abuse
isn't a Republican or Democratic issue. It's a basic human rights issue that requires immediate attention.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Time check 6:16.
We're also going to check in with the traffic. Stephen Cavazos.
Still pretty light right now. Mark and Sarah, we're taking a look at a few of these shots at TransGuide. It does show it's getting a little bit busier. We know that we are inching closer each minute to that morning rush hour. So make sure that if you're heading out in the next few minutes that you are watching and planning accordingly. Although we are seeing a few of these shots showing some light traffic. I just checked our friend TxDOT website. It does show that there is a crash located right over here off Loop 410 northbound at FM 78. I'll be working with our friends at TransGuide to bring you a shot from that location, but make sure you're driving carefully. And anytime you see those flashing lights, you know what to do. Move over or slow down. We do still have that stall off I-35 southbound at Walsham Road, so make sure you're also checking those vehicles before you get out there this morning. A wider look does show that it is still pretty green on the screen, so again, good time to get out the door and enjoy the day. But right now, the roads, again, looking clear. We're going to continue to track the roads closely here in the traffic lab, including that crash that we just told you about off 410. See how that may impact the morning drive, guys.
Thanks, Stephen.
Justin, we're going to check in with our favorite skeleton family. What are they doing today?
Every day today is the wedding standard dance.
Oh,
YMCA.
Wait, that is a wedding stand?
Yeah, well, it's everywhere, right? I'm just saying. But yeah, they got it going on this morning.
That's funny.
Now, is the sailor doing the C or is he grabbing the A?
Well, that's a good question.
Looks like
I think a little bit of both.
I think he's doing the
perhaps.
C.
Yeah.
C, but a little. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
they've kept the variety going.
They have every day. I'm surprised. Let's see if they can keep it going here. They've got another week and a half or so to go. So thank you again, Skywatcher. We love those pictures. That's his neighbor, by the way, showing off those skeletons. All right, if you're dropping off the kiddos this morning, if they're heading to the school bus, 66 degrees. It's not all that cold. They may not need a coat. Some foggy conditions in spots. And then this afternoon when you pick them up, 85 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Pretty similar to yesterday. Satellite picture shows we do have some morning clouds starting to develop out west. Places like Uvalde, Lakey, over to the Del Rio and Eagle Pass. Some of those morning low clouds are trying to build in. We haven't seen a whole lot of that in San Antonio yet, but it's entirely possible that we do get a little bit of cloud cover before it's all said and done. We have not seen fog either. Visibility has stayed perfect. The fog is really set up to our south and east. Places like Gonzales, Kennedy, Beeville, Victoria. That is the corridor. It's been pretty consistent, so I don't know that we'll see much here in town. But there is a dense fog advisory until 10 a.m. this morning for those southeastern counties where that fog is setting up. Right now, we've got 64 degrees here in San Antonio, and clear skies being reported at the airport. Dew point is at 62. And temperatures are generally in the 60s. You'll find a few 70s out west and a few 50s as you get up into the hill country, places like Kerrville and Fredericksburg. Feeling pretty comfortable this morning in the upper 50s. Dew points are up. We know that, and that does not change, especially going into the weekend. It's going to get even more humid in early next week, too. By Wednesday of next week, I think we'll finally see these dew points drop off a little bit, and the air dries out some. There is a front to our north, and I wish I could tell you it would drop south and push through. It does not. It stalls out to our north today, so it really is a non-factor in our forecast. And we'll get temperatures up to about 84 this afternoon. Those skies will clear some. We'll get partly cloudy conditions. Let's look forward now and see what our next chance of rain will be. This weekend, there's an outside chance for a shower or two. Just don't think it's going to be much. Maybe one or two blips on the radar, and that's it. So the weekend looks okay. As we get into next week, here comes our next storm system. This is Tuesday at 5 o'clock. We're starting to see some moisture feed in from the Pacific. There's a chance of that, although the window for this to happen is pretty small. So I think Tuesday afternoon we can see some showers and storms, and then early Wednesday morning as our storm system comes through, a chance of a little bit of rain. But I don't know that we'll get a lot out of this. And then some breezy conditions behind the front and maybe cooling down just a little bit. And yes, that drier air will eventually funnel in. Looks like middle part of next week. So here's how the 7-day forecast plays out. 85 tomorrow, 86 Saturday, 88 on Sunday. Some morning clouds and patchy fog possible any one of those days. And then a little bit more cloud cover next week. Right now, a 30% chance of rain. I think Tuesday night into Wednesday morning is probably our best chance. And temperatures will fall off a little bit into the low 80s, guys.
I want to use the chimenea on my back porch, Justin, but that's not going to happen anytime soon.
I know I have something similar, like my little fire pit, but it's just too hot.
January, February, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Be patient.
In the meantime, it doubles as a grill.
There you go.
621, about 65 degrees.
Well, still ahead, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden and her push for women to get breast cancer screenings. That's in your GMA First Look.
Allergy sufferers. Bedtime means it's time to take Zysol. Zysol relieves allergies while you sleep, so you wake refreshed. And in a clinical study, after just one day, 90% felt powerful 24-hour relief. So be wise all. Take Zysol at night.
Don't settle for products that give you a sort of white smile. Try Crest Whitening Emulsions for 100% whiter teeth. Its highly active peroxide droplets swipe on in seconds. Better, faster, 100% whiter teeth. Shop CrestWhiteSmile.com.
When it comes to heartburn, trust the brand doctors trust. Nexium 24 Hour is the #1 choice of doctors and pharmacists for their own frequent heartburn and all-day, all-night protection. When it comes to heartburn, trust Nexium 24 Hour.
With clean, fresh ingredients, Panera's new chicken sausage and pepperoni flatbread is a mouth-watering explosion of yes. Craft? Yes. Heartiness? Yes. Living life to the flavor fullest? Heck yes. Panera. Live your yes. Now $1 delivery.
In this morning's GMA First Look, Robin Roberts one-on-one with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. At the top of her agenda, making sure every woman prioritizes breast cancer screening.
Cancer advocacy. Can you be specific in what you're hoping to do in the new year?
I go back to being an educator, and I need to use this platform, and I need to educate people that things like getting their screenings and talking to them about good practices, just like actually most American families who have dealt with someone in their family with cancer. I know what it's like to sit in that chemotherapy room with your loved one and just, holding his or her hand and just helping them to get through it.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have much more of Robin Roberts' interview, plus a roundtable conversation discussing breast cancer research and advocacy work. With your GMA First Look, I'm Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
626 and 65 degrees.
Houston Astros one win away from a trip to the World Series. We've got highlights from their matchup last night with the Boston Red Sox.
And the latest on this morning's top story, an argument turns into a deadly shooting on the city's west side. Katrina Weber joins us live with what we know so far.
Morning commute is off and running. We've got some vehicles pulled off the side of the road. Hazard lights are on there at 410 and FM 78. We'll try to get some information for you coming up right here on Good Morning San Antonio. We'll be back.
It seems that words were not enough. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. San Antonio police say an argument is what led to a deadly shooting here in this West Side neighborhood. I'll have that story.
The Astros taking care of business in Boston and are returning home just one more win away from heading back to the World Series. We've got a recap from Game 5 of the ALCS.
And outside with live cam, very humid, maybe a little bit of fog here or there, but we are looking good out by San Antonio International Airport. Traffic at 410 looking great as well. We'll talk to Steven coming up in a moment.
Good morning. It's Thursday, October 21st. I'm so happy to be filling in for Steph this morning, and South Texas sports fans rejoice. The Spurs won last night. The Astros won. It's going to be a good practice Friday.
It is going to be a good practice Friday. Steph was at the game last night. That's why she's out this morning, but turns out she's our good luck charm.
No kidding. Yeah. That was a huge win. Yeah. It wasn't just a win. We blew them out. Feel very good about it. Youth movement, Spurs.
Yes.
There you go.
Let's go. Go Spurs, go.
From basketball to football.
Well, yeah, we got Thursday. I always want to say Friday night football. It's Thursday night football tonight. We do have some high school games, and the weather is going to be okay. Not as good as last week where we had those cool temperatures. There will be some humidity around, but all in all, not bad. Sunset is now before 7 o'clock, 6:57. At kickoff, we're talking about 80 degrees. By halftime, 73 degrees. So temperatures will fall off a little bit. As we go outside for you this morning, not a lot of cloud cover, at least at the moment. 64 degrees here in town. West-northwesterly winds at about 5 miles per hour, and dew points are up a little bit at 62. Temperatures in the 50s up around Comfort, Kerrville, Bernie Stage checking in at 57. Everybody else is in the 60s at this point. And we'll stay right there in the mid-60s this morning before we turn the corner and get up into the 80s this afternoon. Mark mentioned some of that fog. Not a lot here around San Antonio, but we are seeing it around Gonzales and Kennedy, Bevo, where visibilities have dropped off a little bit this morning. There is a dense fog advisory down there closer to the coast until 10 o'clock this morning. As far as the forecast goes, we should be up around 84 this afternoon. Skies will clear out. Some will get partly cloudy conditions, and an east to southeast easterly wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's jump over to Steven now and check in on the traffic. Hopefully the morning commute still looking kind of smooth, I hope.
Yeah, I would say so, Justin. We do got some flashing lights out there. We have flashing lights off Loop 410 at FM 78. You can check it out right here from the shot at TransGuide. It looks like it's off on the frontage road there, so it's not causing any impact on the highways. But of course, make sure that you're driving with caution this morning. Right now, TxDOT did list that as a crash, but we're going to report that as an incident, at least for now, until we get more details from our friends over at TransGuide. But right now, that is off Loop 410 northbound at FM 78, again on the frontage road there, so not affecting traffic, but make sure that you're giving them plenty of room to get that scene cleared up. Hopefully the drivers are okay and their vehicles aren't experiencing so much damage right now. But when we take a wider look at the map, it is still pretty much a green start in the Alamo City and some of our neighboring communities, so no big issues to report at this time, but we will keep our eyes on that particular incident there off 410. These inbound times green across the board. Great time to head out the door, enjoy the cup of coffee, but more importantly, enjoy the drive to the downtown San Antonio area this morning, because it's looking pretty smooth so far. But we know those words are very rare, especially as we get closer to that morning rush hour. But one last look at this incident off Loop 410 at FM 78. Those flashing lights are on. You know what to do. Move over or slow down. Mark, Sarah.
Thank you, Stephen. San Antonio police investigating a deadly trouble outside a West Side home. A shooting that killed a man. They say it appears to have happened during an argument early this morning.
Investigators are working in the 8200 block of Meadow Fire. That's near Culebra Road in Timberview. Our Katrina Weber also there with the live report. Katrina, has there been any word on the relationship between the two men?
The police told us that they definitely knew each other. Now, while we don't know if there were any blood relations between them, it does seem that there was bad blood, and it boiled over just before 3:30 this morning. Police say the two men, both in their 30s, got into an argument outside a home on Meadow Fire Street. One of them shot the other, killing him. Police say they detained the man who they believe pulled the trigger, but they did not call him a suspect right away. We did see officers loading a man in handcuffs into a patrol car. We also saw them take away another person who was not in handcuffs. But again, we don't know yet whether any of those or either of those is a suspect in connection with this deadly shooting. We did see many shell casings or many evidence markers indicating possible shell casings, probably almost a dozen of them out here in the street where police have been investigating. Reporting live on the West Side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. $20,000. That's how much a family is offering up to help find their son's killer.
It's been 11 years since Eric Mendoza was killed in what police believe was a road rage shooting on the northeast side. It was around 1 in the morning, October 21st of 2010 on Village Path near Ritterman Road. People living there heard several gunshots and a car speeding off. When they went outside, they found 20-year-old Mendoza dead in his truck.
Throughout the last decade, his family has raised thousands of dollars to add to the usual $5,000 Crime Stoppers reward. If you have any information on this case, you're urged to call that number on your screen right now, 210-224-STOP. Well, a trial date is now set for an Air Force major accused in his wife's murder. Andre McDonald is scheduled to be in court on November 8th. He faces charges of murder and tampering with evidence. His wife, Andreen McDonald, vanished in February of 2019. Her remains were found months later on private property in far North Bexar County. According to court records, investigators say Andre McDonald gave conflicting statements about his wife's whereabouts and then stopped cooperating with the investigation. Well, big news to get the COVID-19 vaccines for kids. The vaccine for those as young as 5 years old is expected to happen within a few weeks.
I think actually we're doing the Crime Stopper story. No, actually that popped in there again. Guys, what do you want to do here? 30? Okay, you were on the right track. Big news about the vaccine race. Jonathan Cota joining us now with more on that. Vaccines and kids.
Good morning. Well, we have a lot of information for you, Mark and Sarah. The first set of children could be fully vaccinated by Christmas. Well, that's if everything goes through approval meetings in November. The Biden administration says they secured enough vaccine supply to vaccinate 28 million children ages 5 to 11 years old. Now, along with smaller doses, the vaccine, of course, would need to be administered with smaller needles. Here in San Antonio, Metro Health says they will wait on guidance at the federal level, but say some possible locations for children and their parents could include pop-up clinics and the Alamo Dome's drive-through clinic. Now, the Biden administration says schools would be included in the list of vaccination sites. Now, meanwhile, in the push for boosters, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration says boosters for the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccine should also be allowed. Now, listen to this. They even went a step further, saying a mix and match approach may be applied to boosters, suggesting it's okay to get a different brand booster than what you got for the original vaccine. Those recommendations, of course, still need to be discussed by the CDC. Mark and Sarah.
Jonathan, thank you so much. In Washington, the full House will vote today on a contempt of Congress resolution for former President Trump ally Steve Bannon. The resolution is for defying a subpoena from the House committee investigating the January 6th Capitol breach. During a closed-door conference meeting Wednesday morning, GOP leaders recommended Republicans vote no on the criminal contempt referral for Bannon. It's according to a source inside the room. But Democrats don't need any Republican votes to refer a criminal contempt charge to the Justice Department. DOJ will ultimately decide whether to bring charges that could result in jail time or fines.
Well, in China overnight, at least 3 people were killed and more than 30 injured in a gas explosion at a restaurant in northeastern Chinese city of Shenyang. Footage shows damaged vehicles and the shattered exteriors of mixed-use residential and commercial buildings in the street. People living in that area have been evacuated and teams are working to remove debris from the scene. Local authorities said the explosion took place at around 8:20 a.m. their time. They're now just trying to figure out what happened. Well, turning now to the mysterious case of murdered 22-year-old Gabby Petito. Federal agents say they found what appears to be human remains along with a bag belonging to Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie.
Now, officials are now working to identify those remains. ABC's Megan Tavizian gets us up to date.
This morning, new questions in the Gabby Petito case, just hours after the FBI found apparent human remains in the search for Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie.
Investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie.
The discovery made in this Florida nature preserve after Laundrie's parents, Chris and Roberta, called police Tuesday night, saying they wanted to join the search in the morning.
Chris and Roberta had informed me last night that they wanted to go to the reserve today just to look around. And I notified the Northport police, who I believe notified the FBI, and they met them there this morning at 7 a.m.
The nature preserve has been the focus of the month-long search for Laundrie, but the area where the apparent remains were found had been underwater until recently.
As you can imagine, the parents are very distraught. Like everyone else, they're going to wait for the results of the forensic identification before making any further comments.
Laundrie's parents have said Brian often hiked in that area, but this latest development has some experts once again questioning his parents' cooperation in the investigation.
There's just too many strange turns that Chris and Roberta Laundrie have been involved in to not believe that something is amiss here.
Gabby Petito's parents have said they never felt their daughter was in harm's way with Brian. But to be clear, he's never been accused in her death. He's been accused only of illegally using her debit card in Wyoming. Megan Tabrizian, ABC News, San Diego.
640, about 65 degrees.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, we'll tell you about local resources that can help you if you're dealing with postpartum depression.
643, many moms experience postpartum depression, also known as the baby blues.
It's usually a mix of depression and anxiety caused by huge hormonal shifts after giving birth.
So it actually happens to a lot of people. It's just not something that we always are talking about.
That was Dr. Sarah Van Arendonk, an assistant professor at UT Health San Antonio. She says the intense feeling of sadness is common during the first 1 to 3 weeks after a woman gives birth.
But it becomes a cause for concern if those feelings are keeping you from doing your daily tasks. That's when Dr. Van Arendonk says it's important to let someone know what you're feeling.
it's not your job to go through this alone. And so, your obstetrician gynecologist has been there for you for your whole pregnancy, and we're here in this postpartum period. So I think number one is make sure that you're reaching out early and letting us know what's going on, because it's not your job, to deal with this alone. It in fact is ours.
Well, she says the Center for Healthcare Services and the National Alliance of Mental Illness of San Antonio can also help.
You can find more information about postpartum depression over on our website at ksat.com.
It's been a pretty smooth morning for traffic so far. Stephen, anything picking up out there?
We're seeing some progress. We did have this incident off 410 at FM 78. A shot at TransGuide does show that driver now receiving some assistance. So initially, we reported this as a crash. Right now, our friends at TransGuide have said that it looks like it could just possibly be two stalled vehicles. But for now, just make sure that you're driving carefully. The good news is this is not on the highways. This looks like it's on the frontage road, so it's not going to be causing any problems. But as always, make sure that you move over or slow down. Pinpointing it right here on the map, Loop 410 northbound at FM 78. And as I just mentioned, it is still pretty green on the screen, so we're not seeing any buildup of traffic out there in those northbound lanes of 410. Keep in mind, again, that is on the frontage road. Just make sure you're driving carefully this morning and check those vehicles. We've been seeing those stalls popping up there. Pretty pesky issue this morning. Loop 410 northbound at Ingram Road. We are also seeing a little bit of a buildup there in those lanes. We'll continue to watch that closely. The morning has started off pretty smooth so far. As we take a wider look at the map, we're not seeing a lot of congestion this morning, but we are just basically about morning rush hour now, so we know more folks will get out there on the roadways. Just make sure that you're driving carefully. Justin's got your forecast.
Thank you, sir. And NOAA is expected to put out their winter weather outlook today. And what we think they're going to tell us is that La Nina will be back this winter. What does that mean? Well, let's explain it a little bit here. If we look out in the Pacific, normally we have trade winds which blow east to west and they push that warm surface water towards Asia. But in a La Nina year, those winds are a little bit stronger, and that allows cooler water to show up there across parts of the Pacific, and that kind of changes the weather pattern a little bit. It can have some influence at least. And what we expect during a La Nina year would be drier and warmer conditions here across Texas. The cooler weather would stay a little bit further north, wet conditions out west and maybe across the Midwest. And usually that means drier, warmer conditions. But keep in mind, last year, of course, we had that big cold snap, and I've seen some stuff on the internet saying, hey, this year's going to be just as bad. There's nothing that indicates that or would show us that. In fact, drier or warmer conditions would be expected. Not to say it couldn't happen, but I think that, as we head towards winter, this is sort of a generalization of what we can expect. So just a heads up there. Rain chances this week, speaking of the weather pattern and whether or not we'll get some more wet weather. They do start to kick in on Tuesday. A little chance over the weekend, but nothing that really jumps off the page. I think probably middle part of next week is when our best next rain chance would be. Satellite picture this morning shows we do have some of those morning low clouds out west. Some high clouds streaming over top of that. So we'll see some clouds to start and then partly cloudy skies this afternoon. Actually not seeing much here around San Antonio at this hour. Not seeing any fog, but there has been some fog down to our south and east. And even then, these numbers are starting to improve. We're starting to see visibility come up some. There is still a dense fog advisory until 10 o'clock for some of our southeastern counties. Outside, we are seeing 64 degrees at the airport, 63 Kelly, 63 at Randolph. And temperatures generally in the 60s and 70s. You will find a few 50s as you get up into the hill country. 59 right now in Kerrville. Dew points are in the 60s. So yes, the humidity is there and it will be with us through middle part of next week. There is a frontal boundary here just to our north, but this does not slide any further south. Doesn't give us any rain chances today. Does not dry us out. It'll be just North Texas that gets in on some of that drier air. We're up around 84 this afternoon. Easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour in the forecast. As we head into the weekend, I mentioned a couple of very light showers. It's possible east of I-35. Not really looking for a lot, though, to show up on radar. That'll be the case Sunday, too. As we get into Tuesday, some Pacific moisture may try to work in out ahead of our next storm system. That would give us maybe a decent chance for rain Tuesday night into early Wednesday. But the window is pretty small. And by Wednesday midday, this is all moving away. We get breezy conditions. And then Wednesday afternoon, maybe some dry air and cooler conditions working in. Extended forecast. We'll go 84 today, 85 tomorrow, 86 on Saturday, 88 on Sunday. So it does get fairly warm over the weekend. And then 84 Tuesday with that 30% chance of rain. That front cools us down a little bit, 83 on Wednesday. Guys.
Thank you, Justin. About 10 till right now, 65 degrees. Game 5 of the ALCS in the books, and the Astros on the brink of another World Series appearance. Houston dominated the Red Sox in Boston last night thanks to a strong offensive performance in the 6th inning with 5 scores. Final from Fenway, Astros win it 9-1. So now the series shifts back to Houston for Game 6. The Astros leading the Red Sox 3-2. They'll face off at Minute Maid Park tomorrow night at 7:08. If the Astros can get a win tomorrow night, they'll face either the Atlanta Braves or the LA Dodgers in the World Series. If Boston wins tomorrow to force a Game 7, that would be played Saturday night in Houston.
10 community gardens getting much-needed renovations thanks to a local nonprofit and a popular Texas distillery. I'm Sarah Acosta. Coming up tomorrow on GMSA, how these projects are not just bringing communities together, but also connecting them back to nature.
Glad you're with us here on GMSA. We are up bright and early. The sun is not. Whole different story there. We're going to check on your morning commute one more time before we head off to New York and Good Morning America. That's coming up next.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, we'll have the latest on the Bryan Laundrie manhunt. Authorities finding those apparent human remains in the nature reserve. But we're going to have more on what comes next right here on GMA.
Bad blood boils over. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. San Antonio police say one man used a gun to settle an argument, shooting and killing another man. Well, officers responded here to the 8200 block of Meadow Fire just before 3:30 this morning. They found the man who had been shot dead in the driveway of a home. This neighborhood is near Calabria Road and Timberview. Police say they also detained the man who they believe pulled the trigger, but they did not call him a suspect right away. They also did not say why the two men were arguing. The police did tell us that the two men who were involved in this knew each other, but we don't know the exact relationship between them. Reporting from the West Side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Good morning. As you head out the door this morning, keep your eyes on the road. We have 2 incidents working right now. Loop 410 at FM 78 shows an incident working there. Looks like it should be resolving pretty soon, but we're seeing a little bit of buildup there. It's on the frontage road of Loop 410 northbound at FM 78. Came in as a crash, but again, looks like it could be clearing anytime soon. Taking a jump over here, we do have a stall off Loop 410 northbound at Ingram Road. Not causing any issues, but again, make sure that you're driving carefully this morning. We'll continue to keep you updated throughout the morning. Justin?
Stephen, thank you. We'll see those temperatures get up to around 84 this afternoon. Any morning cloudiness will burn off by midday. Easterly to southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. And look for some partly cloudy skies tomorrow. Same case over the weekend. Maybe a couple showers, but nothing too much to worry about. Our next best chance rain shows up Tuesday into Wednesday, guys.
It is a bittersweet morning for our GMSA family. We are saying farewell to one of our own today.
Yeah, Gabby Unis, that's her there when she got her citizenship this year. She's had a really big year. Gabby, we're going to miss you. I had the pleasure of working with her. She was one of our weekend GMSA producers. She's learned so much here, and I know you're going to continue to grow and do great things. We're so proud of you, and we're definitely going to miss you, Gabby, and thank you so much for putting up with us, especially Max and I and Sarah on the weekend.
She's off to a new opportunity and hopefully some more sleep. Yes, which is a challenge for anybody working on this ship, particularly overnight.
Good luck, Gabby.
Good luck, Gabby.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you back here at GMSA at 9.